They all laughed when they saw me walk into the gym. That skinny girl with knees that looked too big for her legs, trying out for the volleyball team. But what happened next silenced everyone in that gymnasium. Before I continue, if stories like this inspire you, subscribe to the channel now, so you don't miss the next ones. I was always the last one picked for any team. Sarah Johnson, 15 years old, 5'4", and 110 pounds soaking wet. That's how they saw me. Too small, too weak, not athletic enough. The school gymnasium in Springfield, Missouri, was filled with the sound of bouncing balls and squeaking sneakers. While all the popular girls were showing off their perfect serves and powerful spikes, I was just trying not to trip over my own feet. My love for volleyball started when I was 8. My dad used to play in college, and he would tell me stories about his games, the team spirit, the adrenaline. He taught me the basics in our backyard. But he passed away when I was 12, and with him went my confidence. Mum worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat, so I didn't have time for expensive clubs or private training. Everything I knew, I learned from watching videos online and practicing against the side of our garage. The day of volleyball tryouts at Jefferson High was both terrifying and exciting. I had been practicing for months, but practicing alone and playing with a real team are completely different things. As soon as I walked in, I heard the whispers. Cassidy Monroe, the star player from last year, didn't even try to lower her voice when she said, "Who invited the stick figure?" Her friends laughed, and my cheeks burned. Coach Martinez divided us into groups for drills. I was placed with Cassidy and her friends, of course. The universe has a twisted sense of humor sometimes. The first drill was simple passing exercises, and I did okay. Not great, but not terrible either. Cassidy rolled her eyes every time the ball came to me, and I could feel my confidence shrinking with each pass. Then there was Lily Chen. She was new to school, even more petite than me, and clearly nervous. When it was her turn to serve, she missed the ball completely on her first attempt. The gym erupted in laughter, led by Cassidy and her crew. I saw something in Lily's eyes that I recognized all too well. That mix of embarrassment and determination that comes from being underestimated. "It's just nerves," I told her quietly. "Take a deep breath and focus on a spot on the other side of the net." She gave me a grateful smile and tried again. This time she hit it, but it was weak and hit the net. More snickering. "At least the 2 weaklings found each other," Cassidy stage whispered. Something shifted inside me. I felt a familiar heat rising in my chest. The same one I'd felt whenever my dad told me to stand tall, even when you feel small. It wasn't about me anymore. I'd gotten used to the comments, the eye rolls, the dismissal. But Lily was new, and she deserved better. The next drill was a mock game, our team against another group. Cassidy was, as always, dominating, barely passing to anyone but her friend. Lily and I were practically invisible on the court, until Cassidy sent a bad pass to Lily, who panicked and missed it. "Seriously," Cassidy snapped. "Do you even know how to play this game?" I saw tears forming in Lily's eyes, and that was it. That was the moment everything changed. "Hey," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "We're all here to learn. Back off." The gym went quiet. Nobody ever talked back to Cassidy Monroe, volleyball star and daughter of the school board president. She turned to me slowly, a predatory smile on her face. "Excuse me? Did the walking broomstick just try to stand up to me?" "I did," I said, surprised at how steady my voice was. "And this walking broomstick has been playing volleyball since she could walk. So maybe instead of tearing people down, you could try building them up. That's what real team captains do." If this story has moved you so far, hit like and subscribe to the channel, because there are other real and emotional stories you can't miss. Cassidy stepped closer to me, towering a good 5 inches over my head. "You think you know anything about being a captain? You think this is some after-school special where the underdog gets a magical moment? This is real life, stick figure. In real life, strength wins, teamwork wins," I corrected her. "And kindness isn't weakness." "All right, ladies," Coach Martinez interrupted, clipboard in hand. "Less talking, more playing. Let's see what you've got." The next ball came directly at me, a hard, fast serve from the other team. I moved without thinking, my body remembering all those hours in the backyard with Dad, all those nights practicing against the garage. My arms formed a perfect platform, and I bumped the ball high, a textbook pass to where our setter should be. Lily, surprisingly, was there. She set the ball not perfectly, but well enough, and I ran, jumped, and swung. I wasn't tall, but I was fast. I wasn't strong in the traditional sense, but I had precision. The ball hit exactly where I aimed, finding the empty spot between two players, point for our team. The look on Cassidy's face was worth all the years of being underestimated. Lucky shot, she muttered, but there was a flicker of something in her eyes. Doubt, maybe. From that moment, something changed in the dynamic of our makeshift. Cassidy still dominated, but she started passing to me occasionally. Not because she wanted to, but because even she couldn't deny that I could play. By the end of tryouts, I was sweaty and exhausted but buzzing with a strange new energy. I'd stood my ground. I'd played well. And most importantly, I'd made Lily smile after she successfully completed a serve, hitting the spot I'd suggested she focus on. As we were leaving the gym, Coach Martinez called my name. Johnson, a word please. My heart sank. Had I crossed a line by confronting Cassidy? Was I going to be cut from tryouts before they even posted the list? Yes, Coach. I approached her, bracing for the worst. That was impressive today, she said, surprising me. Not just your playing, though that was solid. I'm talking about how you handled yourself. I blinked, not sure what to say. Volleyball isn't just about height and power, Sarah. It's about strategy, precision, and teamwork. You showed all three today. She studied her clipboard. I'm still finalizing the team roster, but I want you to know that I see you. I nodded, a lump forming in my throat. Thank you, Coach. As I turned to leave, she added, and Sarah? Standing up for Lily like that? That's the kind of leadership this team needs. I walked home in a daze, replaying the day in my mind. The insults, the surprise on everyone's faces when I actually played well, the small smile of approval from Coach Martinez. It felt like maybe, just maybe, things were about to change. The team list would be posted tomorrow morning. I tried not to get my hopes up, but for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to dream a little. Not just about making the team, but about belonging somewhere, about honoring Dad's memory by playing the game he loved so much. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Coach had said about leadership. I'd never thought of myself as a leader. I was always the quiet one, the one who faded into the background. But today, something had awakened inside me. A voice I didn't know I had. Morning came after a restless night, and I rushed to school early. A small crowd had already gathered around the bulletin board where the sports team rosters were posted. I hung back, afraid to look. Lily found me in the hallway, her face unreadable. Did you see? She asked. I shook my head. I don't want to look. Can you just tell me if I made it? Quick, like ripping off a Band-Aid. She grabbed my hand and pulled me through the crowd. You need to see for yourself. The list was there, typed and official looking. Jefferson High School girls volleyball team, followed by 15 names. I scanned for mine, starting from the bottom, because surely if I made it at all, I'd be the last name. But my name wasn't at the bottom. It wasn't in the middle either. I followed Lily's finger to where she was pointing, at the very top of the list. Team captain, Sarah Johnson. I blinked. Sure, I was reading it wrong. Captains were always seniors, usually the star players from the previous year. Cassidy should have been captain. It was her birthright, or so everyone thought. There's a mistake, I whispered to Lily, who was beaming at me. No mistake, came Coach Martinez's voice from behind us. I thought about this all night. Volleyball is a team sport. I need a captain who understands that, who lifts others up instead of tearing them down. I turned to face her, speechless. It won't be easy, she continued. There will be resistance. Some parents might complain. Some teammates definitely will. She glanced meaningfully down the hall, where Cassidy was staring at the roster, her face a storm cloud. But if you brought half the grit yesterday that your father used to bring to the court, you'll handle it. My eyes widened. You knew my dad? She smiled. Jim Johnson was one of the best collegiate players I ever coached. He had heart, just like you. The first bell rang, signaling 5 minutes until class. Students began dispersing, but I stood frozen, processing everything. Coach Martinez touched my shoulder briefly. "Team meeting after school today, Captain. Don't be late." As she walked away, Lily squeezed my arm excitedly. "This is amazing." I nodded, still unable to form words. But my momentary happiness was interrupted by a cold voice behind me. "This is a joke, right?" I didn't need to turn around to know it was Cassidy, but I did anyway. She was flanked by her usual group, all looking various degrees of shocked and angry. "I've been on this team for 3 years. I led us to regionals last year, and they make you captain after one tryout because you defended some weak little nobody." Lily flinched beside me, and I felt that protective fire ignite again. "Apparently," I said, keeping my voice level, "Coach Martinez values different qualities in a captain than you do." Cassidy stepped closer, invading my personal space. "This isn't over, Johnson. Not by a long shot." "You're right," I agreed. "The season hasn't even started yet." The warning bell rang, and students scrambled to get to class. Cassidy gave me one last withering look before stalking off, her friends in tow. One of them, Zoe, glanced back at me with an unreadable expression. Not quite supportive, but not entirely hostile either. "Interesting. Are you okay?" Lily asked as we hurried to first period English. I considered the question. Was I okay? I had just been named captain of a volleyball team, where the star player hated me. I had no experience leading anyone or anything. I was terrified, but I was also exhilarated. For the first time since Dad died, I felt connected to him. I felt like maybe I had inherited more from him than just his love for the game. Maybe I had some of his courage too. "I'm better than okay," I told Lily with a smile. "I'm ready." But as I slid into my seat in English class, I caught Cassidy's eye from across the room. The look she gave me could have frozen fire. I swallowed hard. This wasn't going to be easy. In fact, it might be the hardest thing I'd ever done. What Cassidy didn't know, what nobody knew, was that I had been fighting my own battles for years. After Dad died and Mom had to work constantly, I practically raised myself. I learned to cook, to manage homework on my own, to deal with grief that sometimes felt big enough to swallow me whole. I learned to be strong in ways that weren't visible from the outside. Maybe that's what Coach Martinez saw in me. Not just a decent volleyball player, but a survivor. The morning dragged by, each class seeming longer than the last. Word spread quickly about my unexpected captaincy, and everywhere I went, people stared. Some whispered. A few people I'd never spoken to before congratulated me. Most just seemed confused. Sarah Johnson, team captain, the quiet girl who never made waves. By lunchtime, I was exhausted from the attention. I spotted Lily sitting alone at a table and headed toward her, grateful for a friendly face. But before I could reach her, someone grabbed my arm. I turned to find Zoe, one of Cassidy's friends, looking nervously over her shoulder. "This is a bad idea," she said quietly. "What is?" I asked, confused. "You, being captain." She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Cassidy's furious. Her dad's already called the athletic director to complain." My stomach dropped. I hadn't considered the politics of high school sports. Of course, the school board president would have something to say about his daughter being passed over for team captain. "Look," Zoe continued, still speaking rapidly and quietly, "Cassidy can make your life hell. She's done it before. Just ... I don't know. Tell coach you don't want it. Say you're not ready. Anything." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Aren't you and Cassidy friends?" Zoe hesitated. "We are, but ... she sighed. "What you did yesterday, standing up for the new girl, it was decent. And Cassidy can be ... She trailed off, but I understood. "Thanks for the warning," I said. "But I'm not quitting before I've even started." Zoe shrugged. "Your funeral." She walked away, rejoining Cassidy's table across the cafeteria. I slid into the seat beside Lily, my appetite gone. Apparently, Cassidy's dad is already trying to get me removed as captain. Lily looked worried. "What are you going to do?" That was the question, wasn't it? What was I going to do? The old Sarah would have backed down immediately, apologized for the misunderstanding, declined the position, faded back into invisibility. But I wasn't that girl anymore. Something had changed when I stood up to Cassidy, when I connected with the volleyball in that perfect play, when Coach Martinez told me she had known my father. I thought about what Dad would do. He never backed down from a challenge, even when he was the underdog. Especially then. I'm going to be the best captain this team has ever had, I told Lily, surprising myself with my certainty. Starting with today's team meeting, the rest of the day passed in a blur of classes and whispered conversations that stopped when I walked by. By the time the final bell rang, my determination had solidified into a plan. I hurried to the locker room to change for the team meeting, mentally preparing for what I needed to say and do. The locker room fell silent when I entered. 14 pairs of eyes turned to me, some curious, some friendly, some decidedly hostile. Cassidy and her core group were huddled in the corner, pointedly ignoring me. I recognized a few other faces from tryouts, including Lily, who gave me an encouraging smile. Captains are supposed to get here first, Cassidy said loudly. Just saying. I checked my watch. I was 5 minutes early. Actually, captains are expected to arrive 15 minutes early, came Coach Martinez's voice as she strode into the locker room, which is a rule I'm implementing starting tomorrow. She looked at me pointedly. For everyone, I nodded, a mixture of relief and anxiety washing over me. Coach was supporting me, but she was also setting high expectations. I'd have to rise to the challenge. Gather round, ladies, Coach said, moving to the center of the locker room. We formed an awkward circle around her, with Cassidy and her friends on one side, and everyone else scattered between us. First, congratulations on making the team. Each of you earned your spot. She glanced around the circle, meeting each girl's eyes. Second, as you've all seen, I've chosen Sarah Johnson as team captain this year. A murmur rippled through the group. Coach held up her hand for silence. My decisions about this team are final. They're also mine alone to make and explain. She gave a pointed look toward Cassidy. That said, I believe in transparency. Sarah demonstrated exceptional skill yesterday, but more importantly, she showed leadership. Volleyball isn't just about who can hit the hardest. It's about unity, communication, and lifting each other up. That's what I saw in Sarah, and that's what I expect from all of you this season. I stood a little straighter, fighting the impulse to stare at my shoes. Coach's words warmed me, but they also added weight to my shoulders. Now, Coach continued, I'll outline our practice schedule and season goals. Then Captain Johnson will say a few words. My heart skipped. She hadn't mentioned that part. What was I supposed to say to a team that was half excited, half resentful of my leadership? As Coach reviewed the schedule, practices Monday through Thursday, tournaments starting in 3 weeks, I frantically tried to organize my thoughts. The old Sarah would have panicked, stammered through something unmemorable, but I wasn't her anymore. I was my father's daughter. I was a captain now. When Coach finished and turned to me with an expectant Sarah, I took a deep breath and stepped forward. I know most of you are surprised, I began, my voice shakier than I'd hoped. I cleared my throat and started again, stronger this time. I'm surprised too, but I'm also incredibly honored. Volleyball has been part of my life since I was a kid, but I've always played from the sidelines, never as part of a real team. I looked around at the circle of faces. Some were open, some skeptical, some downright hostile. I don't expect to have all the answers. I don't expect to be the best player on this team. At this, Cassidy smirked. But I promise to work harder than anyone, to listen to all of you, and to make sure every single person on this team knows they matter. I hesitated, then decided to acknowledge the elephant in the room. I know some of you would have chosen a different captain. I didn't look at Cassidy, but everyone knew who I meant. That's fair. You don't know me yet, but I'm asking for a chance to show you what I can do, what we can do together. The locker room was silent. I couldn't tell if my words had made any impact at all. One more thing, I said. My dad always told me that a team is only as strong as its weakest link. But he also said that there are no weak links, only links that haven't found their strength yet. I believe that. I believe in this team. I stepped back, my heart hammering in my chest. Coach nodded approvingly. All right, on the court in 5 minutes for our first official practice. Captain Johnson will lead warm-ups. As the team dispersed to finish changing, Lily bounded up to me, eyes wide. That was amazing, she whispered. You sounded so ... Captain Y. I laughed, some of the tension draining from my shoulders. Did I? I felt like I was going to throw up the entire time. Well, you couldn't tell, she assured me. Even Zoe looked impressed. I glanced over to where Zoe was pulling her hair into a ponytail, separate from Cassidy's group for once. When she caught me looking, she gave a small nod. Not quite approval, but acknowledgement. It was a start. Leading warm-ups was less terrifying than I'd anticipated. The routine was familiar. Stretches, light jogging, basic drills. My body knew what to do even if my brain was still catching up to my new role. I called out instructions clearly, demonstrating each exercise. To my relief, everyone followed along, even Cassidy, though she made a show of looking bored. The real test came when Coach divided us into teams for a practice match. She put me and Cassidy on opposite sides, a smart move to avoid immediate conflict, but also a challenge. Now I'd have to prove myself against her, not just with words but with actions. Basic rotation, Coach announced. 6 on 6, play to 25, win by 2. Sarah's team serves first. I took my position at the back right, the serving position. The weight of the volleyball in my hands felt both familiar and strange. This wasn't our garage wall. This wasn't just practice. This was me, leading by example. I took a deep breath, visualizing the serve the way Dad had taught me. 3 steps, toss, contact, follow through. The ball sailed over the net, dropping precisely where I aimed, the seam between Cassidy and another player. Neither called for it, and the ball hit the floor. Point for our team. A small victory, but it sent a clear message. I might not have Cassidy's height or power, but I had accuracy and strategy. I caught Coach's approving nod and felt a flutter of confidence. That confidence was tested throughout the match. Cassidy played aggressively, spiking balls with unnecessary force, especially when I was in the front row. I took the hits, passed the balls, kept my team organized. We communicated, called plays, supported each other after mistakes. Cassidy's team had more individual talent, but they played as individuals. Our side played as a unit. The score stayed close, but we pulled ahead in the final points, winning 25-23. As we lined up to shake hands, a formality Coach insisted on even for practice matches. Cassidy's eyes bored into mine. Beginner's luck, she muttered as we passed. Good game, I replied, refusing to be baited. Your cross-court spike is incredible. She seemed surprised by the genuine compliment, momentarily thrown off her script of hostility. Before she could respond, Coach called us all in for final notes. Solid first practice, Coach said. Sarah's team, good communication and teamwork. Cassidy's team, exceptional individual skills, but you need to function as a unit. We'll work on that. She dismissed us, but asked me to stay behind for a captain's meeting. As the team filtered out, I could feel Cassidy's glare burning into my back. This victory, small as it was, would only intensify her resentment. I'd have to find a way to bring her into the fold, or at least neutralize her opposition. Coach waited until we were alone before speaking. You handled that well, she said. Both the speech and the game. Thanks, I said. Though I'm pretty sure Cassidy hates me even more now. Coach shrugged. That's not your problem to solve, though it would make both our lives easier if you could win her over eventually. Any tips on how to do that? I asked hopefully. She laughed. If I had the secret to teenage girl diplomacy, I'd be writing bestsellers instead of coaching high school volleyball. Her expression turned serious. But I will tell you what your father would say. Kill them with kindness, outwork them at every turn, and never, ever let them see you sweat. I smiled, hearing Dad's voice in her words. Sounds like him. He'd be proud, Sarah. Really proud. She squeezed my shoulder. Now go home and rest. Captain or not, you're still a sophomore with homework to do. I left the gym feeling lighter than I had all day. The first hurdle was cleared. I'd survived my initial day as captain. The team hadn't revolted. I hadn't embarrassed myself on the court. It was a start. As I pushed open the gym doors to the parking lot, I was surprised to see Lily waiting for me. I thought you'd left, I said. She shook her head. Wanted to make sure you were okay after everything today. The simple kindness of her gesture touched me. I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. Good. She fell into step beside me as we walked toward the bike racks. Because I overheard Cassidy in the locker room. She's, not done making your life difficult. My momentary lightness faded. What's she planning? I don't know specifics, Lily admitted. Just heard her telling Brooke and Madison that stick figure won't last a week as captain. I sighed. Well, they're going to be disappointed, because I'm not going anywhere. Lily grinned. That's what I hoped you'd say. She unlocked her bike. Want a ride home? I've got pegs on my back wheel. I hesitated, then accepted. The walk home was long, and after the emotional roller coaster of the day, I was exhausted. I stood on the pegs, holding Lily's shoulders as she pedaled. The wind on my face felt like freedom. Hey, Lily, I said as we cruised down Maple Street. Thanks for having my back today. Duh, she replied. That's what teammates do. Teammates. The words settled warmly in my chest. Maybe, just maybe, I was starting to belong somewhere. If this story has moved you so far, hit like and subscribe to the channel, because there are other real and emotional stories you can't miss. Mom was already home when I arrived. A rare occurrence. Usually her shift at the hospital ran late, and I'd be in bed by the time she returned. But there she was, sitting at our small kitchen table with a cup of coffee, still in her scrubs. Hey, sweetheart, she said, looking up from her phone. How was the first team meeting? I dropped my backpack and slid into the chair across from her. It was intense, but good, I think. Her tired eyes brightened with, tell me everything. I still can't believe my baby is team captain, so I did. I told her about the speech, the practice match, Cassidy's hostility, Lily's friendship. Mum listened intently, pride evident in her face. Your father would be over the moon, she said when I finished. Remember how he used to pace around during your little league games? He couldn't sit still, he was so excited. I laughed at the memory. Dad, the gentle giant, shouting encouragement from the sidelines of my elementary school volleyball game, embarrassing me and making me feel like a superstar all at once. I wish he could see me now, I said quietly. Mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. He can, sweetheart. Trust me on that. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both lost in memories of Dad. Then Mom straightened up. I have a surprise for you. Was going to save it for your birthday next month, but I think today calls for an early gift. She disappeared into her bedroom and returned with a shoebox. Your dad wanted you to have this when you were ready. I think you're ready now. I opened the box slowly, unsure what to expect. Inside was a volleyball, but not just any volleyball. It was weathered and slightly faded, with signatures covering its surface. Dad's championship ball, I whispered, recognizing it from the trophy shelf he'd kept in our living room, from when his team won state. Mom nodded. Every player and coach signed it, including Coach Martinez. She pointed to a faded signature near the center. He wanted you to have it when you made varsity. I think team captain counts as exceeding that milestone. I traced the signatures with my finger, a lump forming in my throat. It was like holding a piece of Dad's legacy, a tangible connection to the man I missed so desperately. Thank you, I managed, hugging the ball to my chest. There's a letter too, Mom said softly, pointing to an envelope tucked in the side of the box. With trembling hands, I opened it. Dad's familiar handwriting filled the page. Dear Sarah, it began. If you're reading this, it means you followed in your old man's footsteps and made the volleyball team. I always knew you would. The game is in your blood. Tears blurred my vision as I read on. This ball represents the greatest achievement of my athletic career, but it's not the trophy that matters. It's the journey, the teammates who became family, the lessons learned through victory and defeat. Volleyball taught me perseverance, teamwork, and courage, the same qualities I see in you every day. I wiped my eyes, struggling to continue. Remember, Sarabia, the most valuable player isn't always the one who scores the most points. It's the one who makes everyone around them better. That's the kind of player I know you'll be. The letter continued, full of advice and encouragement, written by a father who had no idea he wouldn't be there to say these things in person. It was dated just months before the accident that took him from us. I'll be cheering for you always, louder than anyone in the stands. "All my love, Dad." I held the letter to my heart, tears flowing freely now. Mum was crying too, but smiling through her tears. "He knew," she said. "Somehow, he knew you'd be special in this game." That night, I slept with the volleyball on the shelf above my bed, the letter tucked safely back in its envelope. I felt Dad's presence stronger than I had in years, guiding me, believing in me. Morning came too quickly, and with it, the reality of day 2 as team captain. I arrived at school early, remembering Coach's new 15-minute rule. The gym was empty when I got there, exactly as I'd hoped. I changed quickly and began setting up for practice. Nets, ball carts, the scoreboard. Taking initiative seemed like the captain-like thing to do. I was practicing serves when Zoe walked in, a full 10 minutes early herself. She stopped short when she saw me, clearly surprised. "Morning," I called, trying to sound casual. "Want to warm up?" She hesitated, then shrugged. "Sure." We passed the ball back and forth in silence for a few minutes before she spoke. "So that speech yesterday, not bad. Coming from one of Cassidy's inner circle, this was high praise." "Thanks." "You know she's still trying to get her dad to intervene, right?" Zoe said, bumping the ball perfectly to me. I figured. I set the ball back to her. "Any chance she give up and accept things as they are?" Zoe laughed, a genuine sound that transformed her usually guarded face. "Have you met Cassidy? She doesn't know how to give up. It's actually her best quality, when it's not being her worst." I caught the ball and held it, considering my next words carefully. "Why do you stick with her? You don't seem to." "I don't know. Buy into the mean girl thing the same way Madison and Brooke do." Zoe's expression clouded. "You don't know anything about me or Cassidy." "You're right," I acknowledged. "I don't, but I'd like to." She studied me for a long moment, then sighed. "Cassidy and I have been friends since 3rd grade. She was there for me when my parents split up, when my mom moved us across town to a much smaller house, and all my other friends suddenly stopped inviting me to things." She shrugged. "Cassidy might be difficult, but she's loyal to her real friends. She's just protective." "Protective," I repeated, seeing Cassidy in a slightly different light. "I can understand that. Don't get me wrong," Zoe added quickly. "She can still be a total nightmare when she feels threatened. And right now, you're threat number 1. I don't want to be her enemy," I said honestly. "I just want a fair chance to be captain." Zoe tossed the ball back to me. "Then prove you deserve it. Not to Coach. She's already on your side. Prove it to the team." Before I could respond, the gym doors opened and the rest of the team began filtering in. Zoe moved away immediately, rejoining Cassidy's side as if our conversation had never happened. But she caught my eye once, giving me the smallest of nods. 2 days in, and I potentially made one ally. It wasn't much, but it was progress. Practice that day was more structured, with Coach introducing specific drills and plays. As captain, I was expected to demonstrate techniques, organize rotations, and provide feedback. It was overwhelming, but I channeled Dad's confidence, remembering his words from the letter. The most valuable player makes everyone around them better. I focused on encouragement, noticing and praising good plays from everyone, especially Cassidy and her friends. When Brooke executed a perfect block, I was the first to high-five her. When Madison struggled with a new setting technique, I offered a tip that Dad had taught me years ago. Some of my overtures were met with eye rolls or ignored entirely, but I persisted, determined to kill them with kindness, as Coach had suggested. The real breakthrough came unexpectedly. During a 3-on-3 drill, I was teamed with Lily, and surprisingly Madison. Cassidy, Zoe, and Emma were on the other side of the net. Madison was clearly uncomfortable, caught between her loyalty to Cassidy and having to work with me. Her passes were tentative, her communication minimal. When she mishit a ball that should have been an easy set, sending it wildly off course, Cassidy snickered from across the net. "At least try to act like you belong on varsity, Madison," Cassidy called. Madison's face flushed with embarrassment. I saw the same hurt in her eyes that I'd recognized in Lily during tryouts. "Hey," I said quietly, stepping close to Madison while Lily retrieved the ball. "Don't listen to her. That was a tough pass to begin with. Try bringing your hands up a little earlier next time like this." I demonstrated the motion. Madison looked surprised by my help rather than criticism. Okay. And it's totally normal to be a little off during drills. That's what practice is for, right? I gave her an encouraging smile. Something shifted in her expression. Not quite warmth, but less hostility. On the next play, she followed my suggestion, executing a clean set that Lily was able to spike successfully. Nice set, I called out. The small smile Madison gave in return felt like a victory. The drill continued, and our makeshift team began to click. Madison's sets improved. Lily was fearless at the net despite her size. And I covered the backcourt with increasing confidence. We won the mini-match 15-13. As we rotated out for the next group, Madison didn't immediately run back to Cassidy's side. Instead, she hesitated, then said, "Your tip about hand position." That actually helped. It wasn't much, but in the complex social hierarchy of high school girls, it was a significant concession. By the end of practice, I was exhausted but hopeful. Rome wasn't built in a day, and team cohesion wouldn't be either. But the small cracks in Cassidy's wall of opposition were promising. Coach kept me after practice again, this time to discuss our first upcoming match. A friendly scrimmage against Westfield High in just 1 week. It won't count toward our season record, she explained, but it's an important tone setter. Westfield's a solid team. Beating them would give us momentum going into the regular season. The pressure of the impending match hit me. This wasn't just about practices anymore. This was real competition, with our school's reputation on the line. "I know that look," Coach said, reading my expression. "Don't overthink it. One day at a time, one practice at a time." "You're doing fine, Sarah," I nodded, trying to believe her. "Thanks, Coach." As I left the gym, I found not just Lily, but Zoe waiting in the hallway. They were standing awkwardly apart, clearly not conversing. "Two-person welcoming committee?" I joked. "As if," Zoe said, but without malice. "I need to talk to you about Cassidy." "Alone," she added with a pointed look at Lily. Lily raised her eyebrows at me in silent question. I nodded reassuringly. "It's okay. I'll catch up with you later." Once Lily was gone, Zoe spoke quietly, glancing around to make sure we weren't overheard. "Cassidy's dad got nowhere with the athletic director. Apparently, Coach Martinez has complete discretion over team positions, including captain. That's single quotes S.Dud, right?" I asked cautiously. "For you, yes. For those of us who have to deal with Cassidy's mood, not so much." Zoe sighed. "Look, she's planning something for the Westfield game. I don't know what exactly, but she mentioned making sure you crack under pressure." My stomach tightened. "Why are you telling me this? Won't she be mad if she finds out?" Zoe looked conflicted. "Probably. But what you did today with Madison ... was decent. And as much as I love Cassidy, this vendetta she's on is getting out of hand." I stared at Zoe, trying to process what she was telling me. My mind raced with possibilities, each worse than the last. What was Cassidy planning? How could I prepare for something when I didn't know what it was? "Thanks for the warning," I said finally. "But why do you care? You and Cassidy have been friends forever." Zoe looked away, uncomfortable with the question. "I told you, I think what she's doing is wrong." And ... double quotes, she hesitated. "I know what it's like to be underestimated, to have people look at you and only see one thing." She didn't elaborate, but she didn't need to. I understood perfectly. "Well, whatever she's planning," I said with more confidence than I felt. "I'll handle it." Zoe nodded, already backing away. "Just be ready. And maybe don't mention this conversation to anyone." I watched her hurry down the hallway, probably to rejoin Cassidy before her absence was noticed. My momentary victory from practice faded, replaced by annoying anxiety. I needed to be prepared for anything at the Westfield game. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, imagining all the ways Cassidy might try to sabotage me. Would she convince the team to ignore my calls on the court? Deliberately miss passes to make me look bad? Something worse? I pulled out Dad's volleyball, running my fingers over the signatures in the dim light from my window. What would he do in this situation? "The most valuable player makes everyone around them better," I whispered, repeating his words from the letter. That was it. I couldn't control what Cassidy might do, but I could focus on making the team stronger. including her. If I could somehow get her to see that we were better together than divided, maybe she'd back down. It was a long shot, but it was the only plan I had. The next week passed in a blur of classes and intense practices. Coach pushed us hard, drilling fundamentals, running plays, and conditioning our bodies for the demands of the season. As captain, I arrived early every day, staying late to work on my own skills and help teammates who wanted extra practice. To my surprise, more and more girls began showing up for these unofficial sessions. First Lily, then Emma, then even Madison. We worked on serves, passes, and setting techniques. I shared the tips and tricks Dad had taught me, and they shared their own insights. There was a sense of camaraderie developing, at least among part of the team. Cassidy and her core loyalists remained aloof, practicing with mechanical precision but minimal enthusiasm. She hadn't made any overtly hostile moves since my conversation with Zoe, but her cold stares and whispered comments continued. The tension was like a stretched rubber band, ready to snap at any moment. The day before the Westfield game, Coach Martinez announced our starting lineup. I held my breath, wondering if I'd make the cut despite my captain status. Coach read the names methodically. Cassidy Monroe, Zoe Taylor, Madison Clark, Emma Lewis, Brooke Anderson. She paused, and I prepared myself for disappointment. And Sarah Johnson. Relief flooded through me, followed by a surge of determination. I'd been given a chance to prove myself in actual competition. I wouldn't waste it. After practice, Coach pulled me aside. "Big day tomorrow, Captain. How are you feeling?" "Ready," I said, with more conviction than I'd expected to feel. "The team's looking good." She nodded. "They are, but there's still a divide, and you know it. Cassidy has influence over half the team, and they're following her lead in keeping you at arm's length." I sighed. "I'm trying, Coach. I really am." "I know," she squeezed my shoulder. "And you're doing better than I expected. But tomorrow's game is crucial. If we win, with you as a contributing factor, it'll go a long way toward legitimizing your captaincy. And if we lose?" I asked, voicing the fear that had been haunting me. Coach's expression was grim. "Let's make sure that doesn't happen." Game day arrived, with a knot in my stomach that no amount of deep breathing could untangle. The Westfield team bus pulled up at 3:30, and our gym began filling with supporters from both schools. I was surprised to see how many people came to watch what was technically just a scrimmage. In the locker room, the atmosphere was electric with pre-game jitters. I changed into my uniform, navy blue with white trim, my last name and the number 7 on the back. 7 had been Dad's number too. It felt right, like another connection to him. As captain, I knew I should say something to rally the team. But what? I looked around at my teammates, some eager, some nervous, some deliberately avoiding my gaze. Cassidy was huddled with her usual group, talking in low voices. I caught fragments, first point, and watched her crumble. My heart sank. Whatever she was planning, it would happen early. Coach entered, clipboard in hand. "Circle up, ladies." We formed our usual awkward circle, the division still evident in how we positioned ourselves. "Westfield is good," Coach said bluntly. "They've got height, experience, and 3 seniors committed to college programs. But we have something they don't." She paused. "Heart and teamwork, when you choose to show it." Her gaze swept the circle, lingering on Cassidy and her friends. "Today, I don't care about personal feelings or social dynamics. When you step on that court, you are one unit. You win together or lose together. Understood?" We nodded, the gravity of her words sinking in. "Sarah," she said, turning to me. "Anything to add?" This was my moment. I took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Look, I know some of you didn't want me as captain. That's okay. You don't have to like me." I met Cassidy's eyes directly. "But out there, we need to trust each other. For the next hour, can we put everything else aside and just be a team?" Silence greeted my words. Then, to my surprise, Zoe spoke up. "She's right. We need to focus on winning." A murmur of agreement rippled through the group. Even Cassidy gave a curt nod, though her eyes remained cold. "Hands in," I said, extending my arm to the center of the circle. One by one, teammates placed their hands on mine. Cassidy was last, her touch reluctant but present. Jefferson on 3. 1, 2, 3. Jefferson. We shouted in unison. As we filed out to the court for warm-ups, adrenaline replaced my anxiety. The bleachers were nearly full, the noise level rising as spectators recognized players and called out encouragement. I scanned the crowd and spotted Mom, still in her scrubs, waving enthusiastically. She must have switched shifts to be here. The sight of her gave me strength. Warm-ups went smoothly, each of us settling into the familiar rhythm of passes, sets, and spikes. I kept an eye on Cassidy, waiting for whatever she had planned, but she seemed focused on the drills, executing each with her usual precision. Then it was time for the starting lineup to take the court. Coach had put me in the back right position, serving first again. As we moved into formation, I caught Cassidy giving a small nod to Madison and Brooke. My heart raced. This was it. The referee blew his whistle, signaling for me to serve. The gym quieted as I bounced the ball a few times, finding my center. 3 steps, toss, contact, follow through. The serve was good, sailing over the net to Westfield's back row. Their libero, a short, quick girl with exceptional passing skills, sent it perfectly to their setter, who set up their middle blocker for a powerful spike. That's when it happened. As the ball rocketed toward our court, Cassidy and Madison both called for it, but neither moved. They stood frozen, deliberately letting the ball drop between them. Point for Westfield. Cassidy turned to me with mock confusion. "Oh, I thought you had it, Captain." It was so obvious, so deliberate, that I heard Coach's sharp intake of breath from the sideline. This was Cassidy's plan, to throw the game, make me look bad, force Coach to reconsider her decision. I could feel everyone watching, Coach, Mom, the entire student section. My face burned with embarrassment, but beneath that was a growing anger. Not just at Cassidy, but at myself for thinking this would be easy, that kindness alone would win her over. The referee's whistle signaled rotation. Westfield serve. Coach called a quick timeout, pulling us into a tight huddle. "What was that?" she demanded, her voice low and furious. "Miscommunication," Cassidy said innocently. "Won't happen again." Coach wasn't buying it. "This ends now. Whatever personal issues you have, they stay off my court. Next person who deliberately misses a ball sits the rest of the game. Understood?" We all nodded, chastened by her tone. "Sarah," she said, turning to me, "you're the captain, lead." As we retook the court, I knew this was the moment that would define my captaincy. I could break down, call Cassidy out, or rise above it. Dad's words echoed in my mind. The most valuable player makes everyone around them better. Westfield served, a wicked jump serve that curved toward the line. I moved quickly, calling, "Mine," in a voice that left no room for argument. My platform was solid, and I sent a perfect pass to our setter position. Zoe, surprisingly, was there with a clean set. I took 3 quick steps and jumped, connecting with the ball at the peak of my reach. It wasn't the most powerful spike, but it was smart, aimed at the deep corner, away from Westfield's best defender. The ball hit the floor just inside the line. Point for us. The small victory energized me. As we rotated positions, I made eye contact with each teammate. "We've got this. Together." The game continued with Cassidy and her friends maintaining their minimal effort strategy. They played just well enough to avoid Coach's bench threat, but without enthusiasm or teamwork. Despite this, we managed to keep the score close through the first set, thanks to exceptional play from Zoe, Emma, and, surprisingly, myself. I was playing better than I ever had, driven by a determination to prove myself worthy. We lost the first set 25-22, but it was respectable given the circumstances. As we huddled between sets, Coach made an unexpected announcement. "I'm changing the lineup. Lily Chen in for Brooke Anderson. Madison Clark, you're on the bench. Zoe Taylor, you're our new setter." Cassidy's mouth dropped open. "Coach, you can't." "I can and I am." Coach's tone brooked no argument. "This is about winning, not personal feelings. The current lineup isn't working." I caught Zoe's eye, seeing a mix of guilt and resolution there. She had chosen a side, and it wasn't Cassidy's. If this story has moved you so far, hit like and subscribe to the channel. because there are other real and emotional stories you can't miss. The second set began with our new lineup. The difference was immediate and dramatic. Lily played with heart and hustle, diving for balls others would have let go. Zoe's setting was crisp and strategic, giving hitters the best possible chances. And without Madison's half-hearted efforts, our defense tightened considerably. I found my rhythm, communicating clearly, moving with purpose, and attacking with precision rather than power. We pulled ahead early, maintaining a small but crucial lead throughout the set. Cassidy, to her credit, played better as well. Maybe it was competitive instinct kicking in, or perhaps seeing Zoe's defection had been a wake-up call. Whatever the reason, she began truly participating, her powerful spikes giving Westfield fits. We won the second set 25-20, forcing a deciding third set. The gym was electric with excitement, cheers and chants echoing from the bleachers. This was volleyball as it was meant to be played, with passion and purpose. As we prepared for the final set, I gathered the team in a tight circle. "We can win this," I said, meeting each pair of eyes. Not as individuals, but together. Every point, every play, we support each other. No matter what happened before, right now we're one team. Even Cassidy seemed to be listening, her usual disdain replaced by a grudging attention. "Cassidy," I said directly, taking a risk. "We need your strength at the net. You're our best hitter and we all know it." Her eyebrows rose in surprise at the acknowledgement. "Lily, your hustle is keeping us in rallies we should have lost. Zoe, your sets are perfect. Keep feeding our hitters. Emma, Brooke, your blocking is shutting them down. We're all essential. We all matter." I put my hand in the center. For Jefferson, for each other. They joined me, even Cassidy, and our cheer was louder, more unified than before. The third set was volleyball at its finest. Long rallies, spectacular saves, powerful attacks. We traded points back and forth, neither team able to establish a significant lead. The score was tied at 22-22 when Westfield's star outside hitter rotated to the front. She had been their most consistent weapon all match, nearly impossible to block or defend. During a timeout, coach gathered us close. "They're going to set their outside every time. We need a big block and perfect back row defense." I was in the back row, responsible for digging any attacks that made it past our blockers. Cassidy was front and center, our primary blocker against their star. Our eyes met briefly, and for once, there was no hostility there, just the shared focus of competitors in the heat of battle. The whistle blew and play resumed. As predicted, Westfield set their outside hitter. Cassidy timed her jump perfectly, forming a formidable block with Emma. The Westfield hitter adjusted, tooling the ball off Cassidy's hands at an angle. I moved before the hit, reading the play, and found myself in perfect position as the ball careened off the block. My platform was solid, the pass high and precise to Zoe's waiting hands. She set Cassidy, who rose like she had springs in her legs, and hammered the ball cross-court. Westfield's libero made a desperate dive, but the ball was too fast, too accurate. Point for Jefferson, 23-22. Our serve. I took a deep breath, focusing on consistency rather than power. The serve was solid, forcing Westfield into a predictable attack. Another block, another dig, another set, this time to me. I approached from the back row, jumping from behind the 10-foot line. The Westfield blockers, focused on our front row hitters, didn't react in time. My attack wasn't powerful, but it found the empty corner of their court. 24-22. Match point. The gym was deafening now, everyone on their feet. I tried to tune out the noise, focusing only on the serve, the pass, the next play. Westfield served tough, a floater that drifted unpredictably. Lily made a spectacular save, sending the ball high but off target. Zoe had to chase it, leaving her with limited options for a set. She could have forced it to Cassidy, our strongest hitter. Instead, she glanced at me, a split-second decision, and set a quick ball to my position. Time seemed to slow as I approached. I saw the block forming, two tall Westfield players rising to meet me. I saw the open corner of the court beyond them. I felt the weight of the moment, Match point. My team trusting me. Everything I'd worked for culminating in this one attack. I jumped, reaching the peak of my height, and instead of swinging with all my might, I adjusted. A gentle tip over the blocker's hands, floating toward that empty corner. The Westfield defenders scrambled, but it was too late. The ball touched the floor. 25-22. Game over. Jefferson wins. The gym erupted. My teammates rushed the court, surrounding me in a chaotic group hug. Even Cassidy was there, her competitive spirit overriding her personal feelings in the joy of victory. Coach was beaming from the sidelines, and Mom was jumping up and down in the bleachers like a much younger woman. In that moment, all the struggles of the past week faded away. We were just a team celebrating a hard-fought victory. As the excitement settled, we lined up to shake hands with Westfield. Their captain, a tall senior with college scouts watching her every move, paused when she reached me. "Nice game," she said, genuine respect in her voice. That last play was smart volleyball. Her words warmed me as much as the victory itself. Recognition from a peer, especially one as accomplished as she was, meant something special. Back in the locker room, the atmosphere was entirely different from our previous gatherings. The division between Cassidy's group and everyone else had blurred, at least temporarily. We were unified by the shared experience of winning, of overcoming a quality opponent. Coach entered, still smiling. "That," she said emphatically, "is what this team is capable of. When you play together, trust each other, there's no limit to what you can accomplish." She went through her usual post-game analysis, highlighting strong plays and areas for improvement. But her final words were directed specifically at me and Cassidy. "Leadership comes in different forms. Today, I saw it from both of you." Sarah's communication and decision-making kept us organized. Cassidy's competitive fire and skill at the net were difference makers. Imagine what this team could be if those strengths were combined instead of opposed. The message wasn't subtle, but it needed to be said. Cassidy and I exchanged a look that wasn't exactly friendly, but wasn't hostile either. Progress, small as it was. As the team dispersed, Cassidy lingered, waiting until we were nearly alone. I tensed, unsure what to expect. "That last set," she said finally. "You played ... well." It wasn't quite a compliment, but from Cassidy it might as well have been a standing ovation. "Thanks," I said. "So did you. That block in the final points was game-changing." She nodded, a hint of pride softening her features. Then, as if remembering herself, her expression hardened again. "This doesn't mean I think you should be captain," she clarified. "But maybe you're not completely terrible at volleyball." I laughed, surprising both of us. "I'll take it. And for what it's worth, I know you'd make a great captain too. You have natural leadership qualities." She seemed taken aback by my sincerity. "Whatever. Just don't mess up the team, Johnson." As she walked away, Zoe approached, having witnessed the exchange. "That's practically a friendship bracelet, coming from her." I grinned. Baby steps. Mom was waiting outside the gym, volleyball dad's championship ball tucked under her arm. She'd brought it for luck, she explained as she crushed me in a hug. "He would have been so proud, Sarah. So proud," I believed her. For the first time since his death, I truly felt connected to the man he was. The competitor, the teammate, the leader. I'd glimpsed that side of myself today, and it felt right. The next weeks brought more practices, more games, and gradual but steady improvement in team dynamic. Cassidy never became my best friend, but the open hostility faded, replaced by a guarded respect. We learned to work together on the court, combining her power and my strategy to create a more effective team. Lily flourished with regular playing time, her quick reflexes and positive attitude making her a valuable defensive specialist. Zoe settled into her role as our primary setter, her strategic mind finding new ways to utilize each hitter's strengths. We weren't perfect. We lost matches, had disagreements, struggled through slumps, but the foundation was there, a true team, growing stronger with each challenge. At our mid-season tournament, facing our toughest competition yet, we found ourselves in the championship match. Down one set and trailing in the second, Coach called a timeout. "We need something different," she said, frustration evident. They're reading our attacks too easily. Cassidy and I exchanged a glance. A silent communication that would have been impossible weeks earlier. She nodded slightly. Coach, I said, Cassidy and I have an idea. We outlined a modified rotation, utilizing our strengths in new combinations. Coach listened, eyebrows raised, then smiled slowly. Worth a shot, she agreed. Make it happen, captains. Captains. The word hung in the air between Cassidy and me as we retook the court. Not officially, not yet. But in practice, we had been sharing leadership for weeks. Her fire balancing my steadiness, my strategic thinking complementing her athletic instinct. Our plan worked. We rallied to win the second set, dominated the third, and claimed the tournament trophy. As we celebrated, Coach pulled us both aside. I've been thinking, she said. Every great team I've ever coached had multiple leaders, different voices, different strengths. What would you think about formalizing what's already happening? Co-captains for the rest of the season. Cassidy looked at me, and I at her. Weeks ago, this would have seemed impossible. Now, it felt like the most natural solution. I'm in if she is, I said. Cassidy nodded. Could work, as long as everyone knows I'm still the better player. She added with a smirk that took the edge off her words. I laughed. Keep telling yourself that, Monroe. Coach smiled, seeing the genuine respect that had developed beneath our banter. It's settled then. Co-captains it is. As the season progressed, our unusual partnership became one of the team's greatest strengths. Cassidy pushed us to be better, to work harder, to reach for excellence. I built connections, fostered teamwork, and found ways for each player to contribute. Together, we created something neither of us could have built alone. We finished the season with a 22-5 record and a third-place finish at state, the best result Jefferson High had seen in 15 years. As we stood together for the team photo, trophy held between us, I thought about how far we'd come from that first day of tryouts. The skinny girl with knees too big for her legs, the star player who couldn't imagine sharing the spotlight. Both of us limited by how others saw us, and how we saw ourselves. Volleyball had taught me what Dad always knew, that strength comes in many forms. That leadership isn't always about being the loudest or the most powerful. Sometimes it's about standing up when it would be easier to stay silent, about believing in others before they believe in themselves, about making everyone around you better. After the state tournament, I found a small package in my locker. Inside was a volleyball keychain and a note in Cassidy's distinctive handwriting. Still not sure how you became captain, but I'm glad you did. See, I smiled, tucking the note into my journal where I kept Dad's letter. Two very different perspectives, united by the same underlying message. I belonged here, on this court, with this team, not despite being underestimated, but because of what that experience had taught me. The journey wasn't over. We had another season ahead, new challenges to face, more to learn and achieve together. But something fundamental had shifted, both in the team and in me. That skinny, underestimated girl hadn't just survived as captain. She had thrived, helping transform a group of individual players into a true team. And in the process, she had discovered strengths she never knew she possessed. Sometimes, being underestimated is the greatest gift you can receive. It forces you to dig deeper, work harder, and find the fire within. And when you finally rise, when you finally show the world what you're truly capable of, well, that moment is sweeter than any easy victory could ever be. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and comment below which part moved you the most. And before you go, there's a recommended video right beside this one that will give you goosebumps. Watch it now. Have you ever been underestimated and proved everyone wrong? I'd love to hear your story in the comments.